Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. We're kicking off another episode on this Passagemaker dinghy build out here in the old guy's shed. We got lots to do, so let's get at it. Alrighty then, I was actually going to wait until tomorrow morning before I started this episode, but I've made enough progress and I've got a few things that I wanted to get done here before we call it a night. It's getting a little bit later in the afternoon. But anyways, back here where we laid down the epic fail on the fiberglass last episode, you can see it's looking, it's not looking too bad now. We've been able to clean it up pretty good, sand it down. That's pretty smooth. So I think we're pretty close to calling the save on this one. I sanded it down to within an inch of my life, I think. So we still got these problem areas here where we have voids underneath the fiberglass. So I've sanded this down real smooth, and then I took my razor knife there and I've cut slits this way in the fiberglass. So my idea now is to mix up a little bit of epoxy and dab it in there and see if we can fill those voids in before I do another coat of epoxy, because I still want to do another coat on this whole thing. And I want to go up, when I do the epoxy, I'm actually gonna, this is where we left off with the fiberglass. I'm actually gonna come all the way up to here. I still need to take these wires out. But I want to come up to this plank here with the epoxy. Now I don't know, I keep looking in the instruction manual, and I think they're expecting us to varnish after we put the seat on, which would be, you know, I don't know. So you'd be leaving this wood exposed is what it looks like to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something in the manual. But anyways, I'm going to probably not tomorrow, maybe the next day. Anyways, somewhere along the line we'll be epoxying up here, and probably an inch or two up onto this plank here, because I think the water line should be in here somewhere. I think when the boat's in the water line should be around this plank. I don't think it's as far down as this plank. Maybe it's in here somewhere. So anyways, I'm gonna seal the whole thing up with another coat of epoxy all the way up, including another plank there. Got a couple spots over here where I need to put in some epoxy too. Now, one of the things, let's see if we can get down here and get a closer look. Maybe let's try this side over here. If I can go upside down and still see. Yeah, so so you can see this fillet here, if I can get the camera going right, is real smooth now, real nice and even and smooth. And the thing that helped me, and I almost forgot that I had gotten it way before the start of this project, is this little guy right here next to the rotary tool. This little sander, finger sander thing, is the bee's knees. Except when I got it out to start working on this, I had left 80 grit sandpaper in there. So there's a couple areas that I actually took a little bit too much off and went through the epoxy. One of them's right here, and I just finished putting just a little bit of thickened epoxy in the hole there, and then a couple along here somewhere. I had another couple of there's might be a little bit of one left in here, you can see. And then the reason I had some thickened epoxy is, so I got the bow section sanded down, and I don't know if this camera's going to pick it up, but you can see there's still some a little bit of voids in here. Oops. And I didn't want to sand it down any further, and this other side was like this. So I just mixed up one pump of epoxy with thickened epoxy and smeared another layer all over here. And I also had a pretty big gouge right in there from that the finger belt sander thing. So I wanted to fill that in. So I'm also, when I mix up some epoxy, I'm also going to go ahead and so I've got thickened epoxy on this side, and on this side I'm just going to do another another brush stroke of regular epoxy along here to see if that would fill in the voids. Then I'll have to sand it before we do the epoxy, so that'll probably be tomorrow morning. So anyways, let me mix up some just one pump epoxy, and let's see if we can fix these voids and take care of that one. All right, so I got my one pump epoxy here. Got a little bitty stir stick and a little brush here. So let's see how the best way to do this is. I was thinking it might even be better just to go ahead and drizzle some in here. Might help if I had leveled this out. In fact, I think I gotta go do that. It's all just gonna run away. All right, hold on. All right, put a sawhorse on the front there. Let's see if we work this in a little bit, if that helps. Temperature is 85 in here, so I think that my working time is about 2 minutes. It doesn't look too bad. Not perfect, but I think it'll certainly help. Yeah, I'm gonna go paint a stripe on the forward part. I'll show you that when I'm done. I'm running out of time. All right, we'll see how that goes. See how it looks. Now, most of this stuff that I'm doing, especially back here in the back, I mean, like I said, it's going to be covered, but this is just I'm just looking at as a learning opportunity to make sure I know how to fix my mistakes. So yeah, so that's really what I'm spending the time back here is learning how to fix the mistakes and how to make it so that it looks halfway decent. I did get the front part. I did run a bead of epoxy along that edge there, so we'll see how that goes out, or how that turns out. I'm going to go ahead and grab some denatured alcohol. It's been time, and let's see if I can smooth this one out just a little bit, and then get this section ready, and then maybe tonight I'll come out and check it and see if I can sand this real lightly again to get it ready for fiberglass tomorrow. So I'll pause here and be back tomorrow. All right, yesterday I had a little bit of a late start. Didn't do any recording. About the only thing I got done was getting this fiberglass in place and getting a few other things cleaned up and ready to go. So I'm all ready for the fillets on the middle section, and I still need to do tape on the bow section for doing another layer of epoxy there. But we're going to get started on the epoxy here in the forward section, the bow section. I'll be putting 2 coats of epoxy on here. I'm not going to be putting peel ply on, and I kind of think that's how this manual wants you to do it. I still wish they'd give us a little bit more direction on what the end should look like. I mean, they give you real good instructions on how the edges should look like, but they don't tell you anything about the end. So here I've got it trimmed down so it's about, probably about a ½ inch over the fillet along the back, and then here on the front I've got it so that it's the tape is right at the fillet line all the way around. The other thing is that the on the bow section here, they don't show up anymore. I sanded them out, but let's see if I can get a good shot at it here. Here we go. So this bow seat actually comes along here somewhere and curves around and ends up to just below the, to just right at the bottom here of the doubler section. So you've kind of got this corner here that the fiberglass will be showing up on. So I was tempted to keep it below, to put the seat in and keep it below the seat here on the corner, but I figured having the reinforcement here up to the forward bulkhead is probably more important than how it looks. So anyways, that's what we're going for. I'll go ahead and get you set up and we'll get mixing epoxy and get going. All right, this is going to be probably pretty painful for me on the knees and the back. I got the boat sitting down with the stern way up in the end, so that I've got this is pretty good, nice and level, so that we'll have minimal sag and stuff. And, it's going to be hurting on the knees and back tomorrow, but I think this is the best shot I got to get this halfway right. Also, the epoxy, the fillet on this side over here is the one that I put the covered it with epoxy, a strip of epoxy later, and I really like the way that sanded out and looks. And if this fiberglassing goes good, then that's what we'll do on the center section. But I like the way that came out. So, all right, no more dilly-dallying around. Let's get this thing epoxied. The other thing I did this time was put some pieces of plastic around on the floor here, so I've got somewhere to set stuff. I've got a place to set my tools. All right, let's dribble this on here. I got 8 pumps of epoxy here. I know that's not going to be enough, but that's what we're going to start with. Temperature is 67 in here right now. Yep. And already messing it up. And I shouldn't have spread it. All right, well, I already hosed this up. All right, better mix up quite a bit more here. All right, I've already gone through, let's see, so I had 2 8s and this is a 10. So we're up to 26 pumps here. Seems like quite a bit, but this fiberglass seems thirsty. Boy, it really takes a light touch. As soon as you put any pressure on it, the fiberglass starts to drag. All right, just a touch more. Because these sides are at an angle, it looks like the oops. So get a big lump of epoxy in the wrong spot. It looks like this top edge of the plank wants to dry out as the epoxy flows down it. All right, I've got about half a cup left here of epoxy, so I'm gonna go ahead and quit messing with this and go just use the rest on the back, and we'll come back and do another second coat on this in a little bit. Alrighty then, it's been about an hour and a half. The temperature is staying down at 65. I'm pretty happy with that. So looks like our first coat here isn't doing too bad. I'm pretty happy with it. There's a couple of let's see, you can see along the edge there. Hopefully it's showing up on the camera. You can see there's dry spots. So there's a couple of spots where the epoxy is soaked into the wood or moved away. And then along this edge here, it's kind of similar. So I think it's about time now to put down a second coat here. Also, I've gone ahead and did the fillet on the center section. I was going to go ahead and use the denatured alcohol again to smooth this out, but I think I've changed my mind. Since I'm going to be putting a strip of clear epoxy over top of it, I think I'm just going to wait till tonight, sand it, and then put the epoxy over it then, and I think that'll be good. The back section here, I did get another layer of epoxy put in. I did go back and look at the book, the manual again, and they do actually say in there that before you put the seats in, that you need to cover underneath where the seats will be with epoxy. So I'll wait until we get to that section before I go ahead and complete it. We'll put the seat in, mark where that seat ends up at, and then put a layer of epoxy underneath the seat in both the aft and the forward sections. The one thing that is pretty obvious with the bow section here that I'm going to do in the middle is there's no way I've got time to do the whole thing, so I'm going to do half of it. So we'll have to see how that goes, but once I get this sanded down later today, I'll bring the epoxy. We'll figure it out, but I think I'm only going to do half of it, and I'll have a split right here. And they're starting to mow the lawn, so we'll pause here. I'll get the second coat on here, and then in a couple hours or so, I'll come back out and cut the tape. So last night I was able to get back out here for a little bit. The storms, I had some storms come through yesterday that kind of prevented me to getting back out here earlier than I wanted to. But anyways, I did get the tape off of this edge. It was a bear. So one of the things that happened was I had been, especially on the second coat, I had been trying to pull up the epoxy to make sure I didn't have a dry edge along here, and ow. And the epoxy got down into this edge. You can see the clumps there, and trying to cut the tape out. In fact, you can see a little bit, looks like there's some might be stuck in there. But yeah, so that was quite the chore to get it out. But overall, I haven't done anything else to this area, and it looks pretty good. I don't know if you'll be able to see it over here. Where'd it go? There's a spot over in here that was maybe you have to get from the other side. Yeah, here it is. It's right here. Kind of lumpiness here. I think I don't know if the epoxy ran down or I just missed this area or what. It's sealed up pretty good. I still haven't decided what I'm going to do. Well, I know I'm going to clean up the edge because I want to see what that looks like when I clean up the edge. And and I talked before about how the seat's going to come along here. So eventually I'll probably have to do something in this area as a minimum. But other than that, I'm not sure I want to spend much more time on this. We learned a little bit more on the process here, so it may look a little unfinished, but it's covered and it's nice and solid. So I think we're good. Oh, so yeah, the here's a pro tip for you. Here's probably the only pro tip that I've got so far in this whole build. Let me see if I can find it here. Hold on. See if I can get a good picture of one. This one right here. Let's see if we can. Yeah. So I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but see, this is one of the holes that you use for stitching, and you can see there's a little dimple around it. And it's like, boy, that must have been some thirsty plywood there to be soaking all that up. And I got thinking, I was like, I wonder. I wonder. Look at that blob. It's a blob of epoxy that came through that hole. How come they don't tell you to put tape over these? It's all along here. All these, especially here, and then there's another one over here. That's all going to have to be sanded off when we when we do it. So when I do the center section, I am going to put tape over all those holes so that I don't have to deal with that. They should have told you that in the manual. I mean, that thinking about it is like, oh yeah, there's a hole there. Epoxy can go through it. So yep, that's what I'm going to have to do. Now I have been working today. I think I was pretty optimistic thinking I could get this done in an evening. But I am working on the center section, doing all the fillets, cleaning them up, especially along the edges, and then some of those other fillets. Now, I'm getting to the point now where it's the intersection of it looks good and the effort. So right now we're shooting for looking pretty good. I still need to do some over here, and then I want to clean up just that center section a little bit, and then get ready, like I talked about, get the fiberglass ready, and I still need to put the tape up. Oh yeah, so I've been using that green tape, and I'm going to switch back. I'm going to switch over to the blue tape because that green tape sticks more than it needs to for this. So yeah, I'll be switching, trying the blue tape on this. See, hopefully it won't stick quite as bad. But yeah, so like I said, anyways, I'm going to put the cut the fiberglass. So I'm only going to do half at a time, and try to have a decent looking seam here in the middle. Maybe try to bevel it or something. Either way, but we'll get to that here shortly. Hopefully this afternoon I'll be able to finish the cleanup on this, get the fiberglass cut, and get ready to go. And I think I've changed my mind. I think if I'm doing this area as half, I think I am going to try to put peel ply in sections. I'm not going to try to put the whole peel ply down at once, but I think I'm going to at least try half sections, if not even 3 sections of the peel ply, because I really prefer that surface, I think, than without it, and I think it will help me minimize the number of times I have to epoxy it. Anyways, we'll see how it goes, and so I'll pause here, and we'll probably be back out here hopefully tomorrow morning to do some fiberglassing. Well then, looks like we're all ready to do some fiberglassing. I've got the tape all put down. I've got the fillets covered with a thin layer of epoxy. I've even got all of the holes underneath it plugged over, sealed over with tape on the bottom, and fitting pretty good here, but we got a problem. So last night I came out because I had this piece already cut for the whole section, and like I talked about, I wanted to do half of it and then do the other half, just because of it's a pretty big area. So last night I came out, I made the cut, came out okay, not the greatest, but it would work, and then took both pieces back inside so that I could cut the peel ply and have the peel ply the right shape and be all ready to go that way. Well, somewhere between here and the house, I lost a piece. I lost a piece of fiberglass, and then a big storm came through last night. I've already looked for it a little bit. I can't find it. I've looked all through the house, all through here in the shop, and just cannot find it. So that means I'll have to get another piece for the front. But the problem is well, number one, I've handled the fiberglass way too much. That is a big problem that I didn't really think about and didn't think through. But the fiberglass, boy, you really have to handle it as minimal as possible. I need to do the cuts better and just be more gentle, I think, with the fiberglass in order to get a good finish. And that's the other thing is that, so now I've got this fiberglass that I could put here in the back and then get another piece for the front, but this fiberglass is probably going to be different than this fiberglass, because if I went and ordered it from CLC boats, I've probably got a 3 or 4 day at least shipping time on it. Today's Friday. I probably wouldn't get it till Monday or Tuesday, so that would slow me down a lot. I can get a piece from Amazon to cover the whole thing, but again, that'll probably be different than this type of cloth here. So that's what I'm going to do, and I'll get that from Amazon tomorrow. So that means Sunday I could do this. If I've got this ready, I could follow up Monday with this, and then we'd still be making some pretty good progress. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I want the fiberglass to match, and I've handled this fiberglass way too much. I've got spots in it where there's runs and wrinkles and all kinds of stuff. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Today I can finish up taping up the front section, get the epoxy on the fillets, and have it all ready to go. So first I'll do Sunday and then Monday, and then we'll press on from there. But I think that's my plan for now. As soon as it's light out, I'm going to be hunting that fiberglass down, and just to make sure I haven't lost my mind. But anyways, wanted to say thanks for watching. Thanks for your support. Make sure you're hitting that like button. Please leave me any comments, questions, suggestions down below. Please tell your friends about me, and please subscribe. Everyone, take care and be good.